Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Safie Bin Shukri and I will be presenting the ocean ion fertilization. So the definition of ocean ion fertilization is the adding of iron into the ocean to intensify the photosynthetic growth. Scientists have revealed from the trap bubble in Arctic and Antarctic ice cores that during last year maximum, free CO2 is much lower than the pre-industrial time. So John Martin hypothesized that high dust input stimulates the phytoplankton vertical pump. The main objective of the OIF is to stimulate the biological uptake of CO2 to reduce the atmospheric carbon. The area that has been chosen by the scientists is Equatorial Pacific Ocean, Southern Ocean, North Pacific Ocean, and Subtropical North Atlantic Ocean. These areas are chosen because they are high nutrient and low chlorophyll areas. The relationships between the iron and the phytoplankton growth, iron acts as important micronutrients for the plankton to enhance the uptake of micronutrients such as phosphate and nitrate for their growth. So without iron, phytoplankton efficiency to take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere are relatively lower. So if the availability of iron is high, the biological pump will increase and the CO2 from the atmosphere will decrease. And if the iron availability is low, the biological pump will decrease and the CO2 from the atmosphere will increase. There are a total of 15 experiments conducted by the scientists. Two of the experiments are from the Equatorial Pacific, 7 from the Southern Ocean, 3 from the South North Pacific, and 2 from the subtropical North Atlantic. There are several limitations from the experiments. Some of them are the micro and macronutrient limitation. Micro is the manganese, cadmium, and macro such as silicate. Second is the insufficient experimental period where scientists have limited time to observe the full response of the phytoplankton. And last one is high deletion rate by small batch size rather than the larger batch size. Overall, most experiments show increased size of phytoplankton, but the effectiveness of the CO2 uptake is still unclear. There are a total of 6 factors that need to be considered for future OIF experiment. The first factor that need to be considered to ensure the success of the OIF experiment is the location. The experiment must take place at the place with high silicate availability and low rising pressure to allow diatom bloom. It is also essential to distinguish the fertilized and non-fertilized area to accurately observe changes in iron in this area. The next one is the timing of the experiment. It is favorable to conduct OIF experiment during the period where the light and nutrient availability is high. After that is the duration of the experiment. Longer experimental duration is essential to cover the full response of the phytoplankton to the addition of iron. Other than that, strategy to maintain the iron concentration is also important. Using acidified iron sulfate is recommended as it is cheaper and more bioavailable. The size batch must be large to lower the dilution rate and the minimum of 2 to 3 days of iron infusion to maintain the high level of iron. The fifth consideration is the effective dressing of the fertilized batch, the usage of neutral buoyant sediment traps, NBST, and water column base. With particle profiling systems such as transmissometer and underwater video profiler, UVP, are efficient to estimate the export carbon flux. And last factor is the monitoring of possible side effects such as release of climate relevant gases and negative ecosystem changes. That's all from me. Thank you.